Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. The National Workers Union says it is working assiduously to bring resolve to the matter of G4S staff not receiving compensation for working on holidays. The Senior Industrial Relations Officer at the NWU says progress has been made on this issue and consultation continues to ensure that the rights of members are secured and safeguarded. Genevieve Gonzague reports.
Security firm G4S has landed in hot water with the National Workers Union, the bargaining body for security officers in their employ. On Thursday, Senior Industrial Relations Specialist at the NWU, Lawrence Poyot, told Hot 7 that the union met with the executive of the company Wednesday. He says after much consulting, an assurance was given by the regional heads responsible for the company that the most pressing issue right now, which is the payment of officers on holidays, will be rectified.
One of the major issues in terms of the payment for public holidays, which is something that we placed before the Labor Department about 5 years ago, and it's only recently that some progress was made after some resistance from the company. We are at the stage where the Labor Department is supposed to quantify what it is that is owed to the employees so that we could bring closure to the issue. However, there is a tendency on the part of the company to ignore correspondence on a number of issues. As a result, we had to confront the company yesterday. Following whatever discussions we had with the local manager, they were forced to contact the regional manager, who gave us the assurance that the issues that are of concern to our members will be addressed in the shortest possible time.
St. Lucia is not the only country that seems to be having issues with the company. In Barbados, Prime Minister Mia Mottley issued a stern warning that they would not be tolerating the flouting of Barbados' labor laws.
In spite of the company G4S conceding that they have in fact been paying lower wages to a category of worker called a security steward than they would have paid to a security officer, they refuse to correct the situation and have only offered to do it on an interim basis, which clearly is unacceptable. The government of Barbados is very clear that both the principles and conventions and statutes of the ILO, the International Labour Organization, are not to be trifled with, not to be ignored, nor are they to be observed in the breach. It is against this background that we have not even gotten to other aspects of the conversation. But it is inconceivable that a company can concede that since 2014 they have continued to act in a way that is discriminatory.
Poyot says while the issue with G4S right now does not have to do with the amount of monies being made, there are many other members who have this issue, and the talks of minimum wages continue to be discussed.
You still have persons in the private sector and the public sector that are being paid very low wages. For example, the cleaners in the government service, some of them could barely make it because some of them may be paid as little as maybe $600 a month. And in some instances, the basis for that is that they don't get sufficient hours to more or less ensure that their pay is a living wage. We did make representation to the government negotiating team in terms of trying to see if we could establish a minimum monthly rate, but this was rejected.
He says the NWU will continue to agitate for their membership to ensure they have the most comfortable work environment. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
The new public relations officer of the United Workers' Party is rubbishing the complaints made about the Castries CDC facelift. The chosen color scheme of blue, yellow, black and white, the colors of the St. Lucian flag, has caused a stir, particularly because of the prominence of the yellow in the project. Norbert Williams says the griping is nothing more than opposition party operatives trying to raise tensions.
Norbert Williams is hoping to put the arguments and concerns over the color of the Castries CDC buildings to bed once and for all. Since the project to give the buildings a much-needed facelift began 1 week ago, there has been talk and tensions surrounding the prominent yellow used to paint the balconies of the buildings. The yellow is part of the scheme, which in its entirety depicts the St. Lucian national flag. Those who oppose the color choice have accused the United Workers' Party administration for deliberately choosing to make the yellow stand out, as yellow is the political party's color. The naysayers say that the project is disrespectful and is a political ploy to influence voters in the upcoming general elections this year. On Thursday, the UWP's public relations officer said this is only an issue because of political mischief from the opposition St. Lucia Labour Party's supporters.
I don't know whether I want to give any validity to such a ridiculous statement. Number one, the colors that the buildings were painted with are the colors of the flag. And it seems like for certain individuals, patriotism is only when they decide, when their agenda is being pushed. Patriotism can rear its head and be significant. There is absolutely nothing wrong in using the colors of the flag. Unfortunately for the St. Lucia Labour Party or that individual who is associated with the St. Lucia Labour Party and continues to have his own sense of political aspiration. Much ado about nothing. It's all politicking, and I will give no further significance to that statement.
Hot 7 TV spoke to a small number of residents of the buildings, and the response was split, with some loving the new look and others expressing their views that the color choice was political mischief. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez.
Thank you, Rochelle. Bus operators say they are waiting eagerly for the reopening of school. The president of the Cicero Minibus Association explained that with students traveling to and from school, drivers just might catch a much-needed break, despite the fact that the passenger limit of 10 is still in place. Genevieve Gonzague reports.
For Cicero bus operators, the closure of school has meant a serious slowdown of business and a blow to their pockets. With schools slated to reopen on Monday 11th January, one minibus driver says his association is hopeful that drivers will no longer be in the red. The president of the Cicero Minibus Association, Vianney Lubrin, says majority of the monies made by drivers on that route stem from transporting students to the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College.
It will be very nice for our operation, the fact that we have lost so much. You know, the school and the students, especially SAFA, is the driving force of our income. So we are very happy that they are coming back. We have already made adjustments to our schedule. As you can see, I've already placed it on the board for the following week. So all members, they are aware and they know that the shifts that we will be working. So we had 10 buses. Right now we had 16 buses per day.
He says a new system will have to be put in place due to the passenger limit of 10.
It has changed, especially as we don't have much buses going to the hospital. The hospital has relocated. Hence why I've also put a note on the board for my members, letting them know that we have to follow the route, and the route will not be passing via the Mon anymore. It's through Fulasho, Latok, and to the Mon.
According to Lubrin, this can be seen as one win for drivers of his association. Therefore, they are hoping that the reopening of schools will done right. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, the effectiveness of online learning at the primary and secondary level has come into question. The Chief Education Officer, Dr. Fiona Philip-Meyer, says the ministry will have a more comprehensive report in the weeks following the return of students to the classroom.
The COVID-19 pandemic has changed education forever, with a distinct rise in online learning, where teaching is conducted remotely and through digital platforms. While some research suggests that online learning has been shown to increase retention of information and take less time, at least at the university level, the local population has a different experience when it comes to primary and secondary level education. It is believed that the unplanned and rapid move to online learning, with no training, insufficient bandwidth, and little preparation, resulted in a poor user experience that is unconducive to sustained growth. The Chief Education Officer revealed that a survey will be compiled when students return to school to gain feedback from parents on the execution of learning during the first term.
We had already looked at some of the questions. We wanted to keep it short, up to 10 questions, but encompass all the various aspects so that nobody feels like they're copying this long survey and they will not do it through SurveyMonkey. So I'm really hoping that when we send out the surveys to the school, that we can get that feedback likewise. So that had been planned since the end of of December moving in as we looked at how best. We also note that through individual schools, we have gotten feedback from our parents as to how their students have done. We actually have formal reports from the schools, from parent bodies, and I can speak to some of the schools. I will not identify them here, but we have that as well, and that data.
There are some parents who feel that the resumption of regular schooling may not be the best option for their children in the midst of a very fluid pandemic. Dr. Philip Myers says the ministry has also prepared for that eventuality.
Up to yesterday, a total of 16 families that have applied for homeschooling. And the homeschooling is part of an application process that a parent comes in to fill out and gives justification. We then do our investigations as to where the child is at. We speak to the principals, the education officers, and then we come back and after review, we then send a formal letter to the family and to the parent stating that the child has been granted, or if we have other questions or queries, we come back to the family.
More than 1.2 billion children in 186 countries have been affected by school closures due to the pandemic. For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
The Health and Safety Coordinator at the Ave Maria Girls Primary School says going into the new term, teachers are trying to be as optimistic as possible. He believes that with the passion and dedication that educators have, they will do the best to create an environment that is both safe and conducive to learning.
As educators make last-minute arrangements to ensure they are prepared to welcome students on Monday 11th, the Health and Safety Coordinator at the Ave Maria Girls Primary School, Imbert Placid, says while there is still a level of fear, teachers are doing what they must to ensure they are present come Monday morning.
The fear, however, is still in, I think, is still in every single one of us. Not for myself. I'm a young and healthy teacher. However, I am overly concerned for my colleagues, especially the older ones, those who have pre-existing conditions, the families of students. When students are to go back home, the families of staff members, so it does raise a bit of concern. However, we are doing our part.
He believes that despite the situation that they are faced with, teachers are going to show up and show out.
Just like every other teacher, I think that we're all going to be doing our part, bringing service, doing service, committing ourselves to the students as usual. How prepared are we? I think we are doing what is necessary as teachers, as professionals. Sanitizing the areas, wearing our mask, following protocols, and we hope to continue that trend with passing it down to our students, ensure that the students do the same, following suit.
Come Monday, however, he says, teachers will get a true sense of what is to come, given the fluidity of the COVID-19 situation. He says, for now, they are all hoping for the best. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Still to come, 3 injured in 2 separate incidents, a chopping and an accident. And the no intermingling policy stands for hotel accommodations. That and more after the break.